and then we'll share this after the call. So again, guys, welcome to this week's training. We're going to focus on some annuities with a theme, right? And I want to distill it down into something that you can take today, right? And implement it immediately. You don't have to become, this isn't about becoming an annuities expert or an indexing strategy expert. It's how can I go have conversations with my clients, given the tools that I'm already familiar with, to, again, help enrich someone's lives or solve a problem. With the market the way it is right now, right? Is the market up or down overall compared to, let's say, the past month or 2 months ago?
Down.
So actually it's up compared to where it was, 2 months ago, but it is down overall. I think year to date it's down, but if you look 6 months to date, it's up, right? So it was down around 32,000, 31,000. Now it's up to right around, I think today, right now it's trading right now at about 33.8. The reason I bring that up is, your age or your clients and the majority of America has lost a lot of money in their 401ks or their retirement savings. Well, people think, okay, well, it's up, I should be happy right now. Well, guys, if you're listening and you know what's going on with inflation and food prices and the housing market and elections and all this other stuff, it is a, bank collapses, all this other stuff. It's a ripe environment for a recession or a depression, right? Right now, we're just kind of hamstringing everything together. It's on a wing and a prayer right now, kind of just hobbling along. Right now is a perfect time while the market is a little bit up for your clients to what we call pull chips off the table. So if you're familiar with gambling, right? Let's say you're playing poker and, you put $100 on the table and you're playing, you lose a little, you make a little, you lose a little. And now you're up to $500. Well, your initial investment was $100. What I always do is when I get up, when I double my money, right? So I go from 100 to 200, I go ahead and take $100 off the table and stick it in my pocket. That way I'm playing with the house's money and I never lose my initial investment. And then from that point forward, I could care less if I win or I lose. But then if I double it again, I'm going to take another $100 and now I'm up $100 and so on. So I have this mindset of I can be aggressive. I'm having fun. I'm never worried about losing money because I've already pulled my chips off the table. It's that concept that you want your clients to understand right now while things are up is the time to take some of those chips and pull them off the table and protect them. And Athene is also going to give you a premium bonus to help recoup some of the losses that you might have experienced over the past 2-3 years, right? So how do we figure out, how do we get into annuity questions? How do we start the conversation? It's not, let's go buy annuity leads or anything like that. All it is every single client that we talk to, we want to make sure to ask what we call the golden question. And that is on the financial inventory, right? And I'll show you where that is in just a second. But on the financial inventory, all we're going to do is ask the golden question after we've taken care of their life insurance, because again, we're there for the life insurance. We don't want to kill that sale by puking on them about annuities, because annuity is a multi-step process. It's not a one call close. All right, so we're going to ask the golden question, which is, what do you have that currently acts like life insurance, right? In case we can't get this policy approved, you have anything that acts like life insurance, such as stocks, bonds, 401ks, maybe from an old employer, significant savings, anything like that. Then I'm going to write that information down and I'm going to say, hey, listen, I'd like to come back in about a week. I want to show you a way that you can protect this money from ever losing a dime again. And when the market is up, you'll actually gain money, but you're never going to lose this money. Would you be interested in learning how you can never lose a dime again? Great. Okay. And then also you can potentially have income for the rest of your life. You'll never outlive your money. People always say yes to that follow-up appointment. All right. I'm going to set the follow-up appointment for a week from now because I want to give myself time to get the annuity together, to learn the product I need to do, to go into Athene. Maybe I'm not appointed with Athene yet. And then also in the Athene website, you also have to do compliance product training in order to be compliant to sell that specific product. And that's through Reg Ed and some other stuff. So there's a couple steps that are involved. So if you're setting an annuity appointment, don't call up our SRS team or your upline or myself and say, hey, I have an annuity appointment tomorrow. I need help, right? Because you're going to do yourself and the client a disservice, and it's very unlikely that you're going to get the sale because you're not properly prepared. Make sure you're doing those follow-up appointments in either person or via Zoom, right? Because a lot of times we're talking about very large sums of money, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. You want to make sure to make that connection with the person, okay? Also then contact Athene or the SRS team, Simple Retirement Solutions team, for assistance. And to gain access to the SRS website, everybody write this down or take a screenshot. If you don't have access to the Simple Retirement Solutions website, you want to make sure to go ahead and email Katie, Katy, at fflams.com, and then give her your Athene agent code and just say, I want access to the SRS website. All right. So let's jump in to some of the training here. So the first thing I want to show you is the SRS website, Simple Retirement Solutions. Okay, somebody give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Cameron, I can see you. Can you see my screen? Okay. All right, so again, the SRS website, if you're going here, let me just move this crazy bar. It's still fflams.com, fflamf or AMS.com. It's rebranded as Family First Life Simple Retirement Solutions. But this is where you're going to get some foundational knowledge on annuities, IULs, infinite banking, all of that stuff. So you can click on the learning tab up here. And you've got all your different training videos, the Facebook Live archive, all of the different details, your commission, your commission levels are down here based on your production. Everybody starts at the green level. If you've never produced anything, it doesn't matter what comp you're at. Everybody starts at the green level, and then based on your production, you'll work your way up. All your contact information is down here for all the different specialists, right? And then if you run into a situation where you need help with whether it's an annuity, IUL, or anything like that, you can just click here on Ask a Specialist, fill out the form. So if it's an annuity, I can fill out my form here, and you'll typically get a response back within 24 hours. The other alternative is to reach directly out to Athene, call their sales desk, and they'll get you something immediately. They'll recommend a product, they'll train you on the product, they'll show you how to do an illustration, they'll do the illustration for you, and if necessary, they can even be on the phone with the client so they can answer any questions or anything as well. That's my preferred resource, is to go directly to the carrier. Because you can get access to them immediately, and of course they want to help you, sell that product immediately. So, all right, so we're going to go into the Athene website. All right, so here's what I've done. I've sold a life insurance policy to my client, or I didn't, either way, but I went in and I'm in the AOG agents website now. Okay. I'm at aogagents.com. And to get access to the financial inventory, I'm going to click on white glove support, and then I'm going to click on toolbox. I'm going to go down to downloads. I'm going to click on my financial inventory. And as you can see here, the initial page is your carrier credibility sheet. Then we have our financial inventory, so life insurance, whatever I need. And then I have my golden question, right? What do you have that acts like life insurance, or what do you have to offset the cost of the mortgage when you die? Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, all that kind of stuff. I want to get the information there, okay? And then do you have identity theft protection? You could do that, whatever. But the focus here is getting that information. A lot of times, guys, it's going to be either an old annuity or it's going to be a 401k. Now, if it's an active 401k they're contributing to, we really can't do anything with that. And before you tell me, the different IRS rules, let's not confuse anyone. You really can't do anything with that. If they're actively contributing, you can't really help. But if it's a 401k from an old employer or some other type of an IRA, That's qualified money that we can roll over into another qualified IRA. And that's the plan. All right, so we've done that. I've set the appointment for next week, and now I need to prepare. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go through my product training, right? So I'm going to click on in my Athene website. I'm going to go to my product training. I have to go through Reg Ed and go through the compliance training. All right, I've had too many agents, you know, they tee up something and, you know, it's about, hey, I have this appointment tomorrow and I need to get ready, da 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 da. And then they can't, and we have to delay it because they didn't do any of this stuff, right? So if you're appointed with Athene and you haven't done this training yet, by all means, take an evening this week or this weekend, get in here and do the compliance training, do the product training. And that way, when you tee up that annuity and you're ready to go, you're actually ready to go. All right. And then from there, what I want to do is I'm going to go over the Performance Elite product here. I'm not going to go over every product. Right now, the Performance Elite is kind of the go-to product. So I'm going to show you what that product looks like here first. Move this crazy menu. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tee it up just like I would with a client. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do with a client. So Cameron, how about you be my client today?
Okay.
Okay. So Cameron, you know, it was a pleasure sitting with you last week. Oh, one of the other things I want to show you guys real quick. I'm going to, hang on one second. Come on, you're so slow. I'm going to send this email to my client after that. So Cameron, I'm going to send this email to you after our initial appointment. Okay, and it looks like this. So it'd say, good afternoon, Cameron. It was a pleasure meeting with you today. As we discussed, protecting your retirement is extremely important. Pursuing passions, traveling, or giving back, retirement isn't the end of the job. It's the beginning of the best work of your life. Thinking about what you'll bring to, thinking about what will bring you to the most happiness is key to getting the most out of the next big chapter in your life. Discovering your retirement personality can reveal your more and lead you to financial solutions like annuities that can help you retire your way. So what is your retirement personality, Cameron? Looking for leisure, pursuing a passion, giving back with service, starting a second act, focusing on family, or seeking adventure? Please click the link below, right, to discover your more. And how you get that, guys, is on the Athene website, in the marketing or the sales tools, you have your client's marketing more toolkit. Okay, and all you have to do is share the quiz. All right, so if I click on this to share the quiz, hopefully it hasn't timed out, will make me log in again. Okay, good. This is what the quiz looks like. So it's 8 questions, very simple, but what it does is it's a very professional way to begin the annuity conversation. It's thought-provoking, right? And it helps give them some guidance and understanding on what they want to achieve relative to retirement. And again, it makes it less like, hey, I'm trying to sell you something, and more of a professional consultative approach, right? So Cameron, we'll run through this real quick as if you were doing it. So your perfect day looks like what? Tell me which one of these pictures to click.
The bicycle.
Okay, so exercising. All right, while browsing in a bookstore, you linger in the children's section. Let's hope not. The travel guide section, the fiction section, personal interest, social sciences, or magazine rack.
Travel and magazine rack.
It only lets me select one. When it comes to money in retirement, you plan to spend on travel. You need to have enough discretionary income to pursue passion. You would like to have enough to donate to charity. You plan to make more with your new career. You want to have enough to be able to leave money behind, or you don't mind tightening your belt a bit as long as you don't have to work anymore.
Yeah, it would be the last one.
Okay. All right. when exploring a new town, your first stop is a food truck, Main Street, the farmer's market, visitor center, antique store, and outdoor cafe.
Outdoor cafe.
Okay. All right. I hope to share retirement with a friend, those involved in my new business, like-minded people who are as devoted to volunteering as I am, my family, my spouse, significant other, or others who share my interests.
Probably my family.
Okay. All right. I'm happiest when I'm just relaxing. There's nowhere I have to be. Involved in work I consider fulfilling, volunteering my favorite charity, hosting a family celebration, exploring a new city, or doing something creative.
Like there's so many I would choose, but I guess exploring a new city would be something that comes to mind first.
All right. And then if you found $100 in my pocket coat, I would treat myself to lunch, drop it in the church's offering basket, go to dinner and a movie, save it for an upcoming vacation, upgrade the garden tools in my potting shed, or think about buying the newest smartphone.
Save it.
Okay. There we go. Okay. In retirement, I'm most looking forward to developing skills that I've always wanted to learn, beginning a new career, exploring interests I've never had time for while working, being a part of special moments with my family, helping others, or having adventures while I travel.
Ah, well. Exploring interests I never had time for while working.
Okay. Boom. So it looks like, Cameron, you're probably seeking adventure, right? And so I would have that conversation for your retirement, or for you, Cameron, your retirement is an opportunity to do the best work of your life, the work of crossing things off your bucket list, right? Your next chapter is all about having the adventures and the experiences you put on hold during your working years. When planning for your life of adventure, it's important to consider whether you will need additional savings to fund vacations and new experiences, starting by thinking about where and how you want to travel. Discovering what more means to you can help connect you with retirement savings solutions that can help you better, right? The next step in achieving more in retirement is to help build a plan or learn about the Athene solutions. It doesn't matter if they click on these because they won't take them anywhere. But what it will do is it'll give you, kind of a next step. So Cameron, now we're sitting down, right? You completed this. And the first thing that I'm going to do is show you, I hate this little menu. I'm going to go through the presentation just like this. All right, and guys, if you have any questions, let me know. So
Yeah.
Cameron, what I want to do is, again, here, we're going to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend some time with you real quick, just giving you an idea on what your options are relative to your retirement. And this is going to be, guys, available on the SRS website, the Simple Retirement Solutions website. You're going to go to the home section. I'm going to go down here to downloads, where it says order brochures. I'm going to click order now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to download the one here, again, that says guaranteeing safe growth income for retirement. So Cameron, in terms of traveling and being prepared for your insurance or prepared for your retirement, is making sure that you don't lose any money important to you?
Absolutely.
Okay, how important on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, yeah, it's kind of important, but not really, or 10 being it's vital, where would you put that level of importance in terms of not losing money?
10.5.
Okay. And would you say, based on the way the market is performing or has been performing recently, is it more or less likely that you're going to lose money in retirement over the next 5 to 10 years?
Very likely.
Okay. And is it safe to say you've already lost some money?
Yeah, a few hundred here.
A few $100s or a few 100,000?
Actually, mine's not been too bad. So about a few hundred, but I don't want to lose any. So
okay, good stuff. Well, what I'm looking to show you is what we call simple retirement solutions or safe money retirement. okay? And this is called a fixed indexed annuity. Now, are you familiar with annuities at all?
Yes.
Okay, tell me what you know about annuities. And guys, the reason I asked this question is because you're going to run into clients that are go, annuities are horrible. I hear they're super expensive and my broker doesn't like them. They cost a lot of money, they lose money. Well, 9 times out of 10, their broker doesn't like them because they can't charge any fees, right?
Mm.
And then in addition to that, when they talk about losing money, they're usually talking about a variable annuity, which we don't offer those, okay? So what I'm going to do is there's 5 questions you need to consider, Cameron, when it comes to retirement. First is, how will the market affect my retirement, right? Meaning, if I were to lose money now, how long in my life do I have, do I have enough life to make up what I've lost, right? Will I outlive my retirement, right? So on average, Cameron, what's the life expectancy of males in your family?
95.
Okay, so that's 11, 12 years longer than the average life expectancy of a male. And so you want to make sure you don't outlive your money. Also, health costs. How will your health costs, would you agree that health insurance or the cost of health is going to go up over time, or do you think it'll go down over time?
Go up.
It's going to increase, right?
Yeah.
And then also, can I get fair returns without risking losing? Are you familiar with what a CD is? Have you ever heard of a CD at a bank?
Yes, I've heard of it.
Tell me what you know about a CD. Have you ever used one, or what do you know about them?
No, I just heard about them.
Yeah. Well, in a CD, a bank guarantees you a certain rate of return, but they guarantee that you won't lose any money. And typical rates of return on CDs are anywhere between, a couple basis points, or bips, what we call, which is like half a percentage point, 75 or 0.75%, all the way up to maybe 1 or 2 or 3%, but that's kind of unheard of, right? The point there is, if let's say you're making 3% on your money, are you making money or losing money?
I'm gonna be losing money.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
So you're not get that much. What is based on the point value that you just mentioned?
Yeah, it's not outpacing inflation, right? So inflation is 4, 5, 6, 7%. If you're not outpacing inflation, then you're losing money, right? The purchasing power of your dollar. And then also making sure that, will I leave money for my loved ones? Okay. So what I want to show you here is just the basic concept of an annuity, so you have an understanding before I show you what my recommendation is going to be. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Okay. So this red line here is the actual S&P 500. Are you familiar with the S&P 500? You've heard of
Yes.
it? Okay, good. So it's an index, right? Or it's an index fund within the market, right? The nation's top 500 companies. And this shows how it actually performed from September 30th of 1998. If someone were to have invested $100,000 into that index all the way to 2016, okay? So this takes us through September 11th, and it takes us through the recession in 2008 and 2009. So initially, right, in the early years of this, from 98 to about 2000, 2001, or 2000, it was doing well, right? You went from 100 to 136,000. But then what happened here?
Yeah. When that
Why? What happened there?
said 2000. Oh, it was a crash.
September 11th, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what ends up happening is everything crashed. So
Yeah.
now your original 100,000, and again, you have what are called unrealized returns, because it's not actual money that you have, it's all on paper, right? So remember that this is all on paper. Your 100,000 up to 136 now is worth $78,000. But in your mind, you're like, you know what? It's okay. The market always recovers, which it usually does. I just have to ride it out. And that's what most brokers say, is just ride it out. So over this course of 2002 to 2007, you got back up and now you're ahead of where you were. So, 5, 6 years later, you're now at 145,000. You're in good shape. You're happy. And then all of a sudden, what happens again? We have the recession, right? The housing market collapsed, and boom, you're back down now to $100,000. So you're here 10 years later, from 98 to 99, and all you got to show for it is $770 of of gain on your retirement. How's that make you feel?
Horrible.
Yeah. Right. So you're losing money again, but guess what? Your broker says just ride it out. Time fixes everything. And guess what it does? Because from 2009 all the way to 2014,
Dang.
boom, here we go. Right. And then there's a little bit of a dip, but then it climbs again. And so at the end of 98 to 2016, you're up, you've doubled your money, and you're at 206,000. Then what happens in 2019?
Goes down.
COVID happened, right? And then everything fell apart again. Now,
Yeah.
let's just say dollar for dollar, you put that $100,000 of retirement into an annuity, what's called a fixed index annuity. I want you to think of an annuity as stair steps, okay? Once you're on a step, you can never go down. You're locked in. So you're participating in the market, but your money is not actually invested in the market. So you have what we call real gains, right? Not unrealized gains. It's not on paper. It's actual money that is yours, right? So here, just before September 11th, you're up to 125,000, not quite as big as the S&P 500, but when everything falls apart, you have the power of zero. You don't lose a dime, right? So while this person is falling, you're sitting nice and pretty happy right here. You're not losing a dime. And if you just walked away, that money is actually yours, okay? Now, as soon as the market starts to turn up again, Cameron, you don't have to dig yourself out of a hole. You're already 2 laps ahead of the person that's in red here. So you get to start partaking in the market gains, boom, boom, boom. So you're outpacing, see, you're actually a lap ahead of this person here. So when the market tanks again during the recession, you're still up. You got 156 grand, you're locked in. They're falling off a cliff, losing everything again, right? Remember how you said you felt horrible here? How do you think you would feel here if this was you?
Definitely no relieved that I hadn't lost anything, number one.
Right, right. If let's say you were about to retire here, if you were in green, how would you feel?
Awesome.
Okay, if you were down here, what would you have to do?
Keep working.
You couldn't retire, and maybe you'd have to get a second job, right? And also what accompanies this is depression, anxiety, health problems. In your retirement years, is that something you want to experience?
Not at all.
Or would you rather have the bliss of knowing you can't lose any money?
Absolutely.
So guys, do you notice what I'm doing here? I'm having a conversation and I'm bringing his feelings into this, right? It's almost like I'm selling a car. So what do? I put him in the seat. I let him take it for a test drive. How do you feel, right? Because if you don't incorporate your client's feelings into this and you're just talking about numbers and points and da-da-da and caps and all that stuff, one, you're going to overload them on information. And remember, confused people, write this down, please. Confused people take no action. Confused people take no action. But if I can incorporate someone's emotions and get somebody to feel good about this, right, that's when people take action. So Cameron, after all is said and done, you can see the green here at the very end, right? You're at $223,000. And here you're at 206,000. We all know what happened in 2019. Everything took a dump again. You're sitting up here, you know, nice and pretty. And this represents a locked in gain, a realized return of 123%, whereas the market in the S&P 500 represents 106% unrealized gain because it's a negative 21% volatility up and down. And again, it's just paper money at that point. Okay. So what I want to show you is my recommendation for you. So I'm going to show him that to get him bought in mentally, right? And understand the concept of an annuity, right? So Cameron, you understand now the concept of an annuity, and you can see how it's valuable because you can't lose any money, right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now let's just say the market didn't do anything, right? Let's say it had negative returns forever. That's what this blue line is here. So even if the market returns nothing, your annuity has to, by contract, provide you a minimum guarantee. So the red line, if it never returned anything, what would the red line happen? Your entire retirement would go away, correct?
Yes.
Well, with the blue line, even if nothing happens, at the end of this, you still have $170,000, right? So number one, you never lost your principal. and all of your gains are locked in. Doesn't that sound great? Isn't that amazing? Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to go to my Performance Elite. And what I want to do here is I want to give you confidence in the company, right? So I'm going to start with, and this is the Performance Elite Plus product brochure, right? Can be found on the marketing tools on the website. And Cameron, I'm just going to walk you through this real quick, right? So Athene is the #1 annuity company in the world, right? Fixed indexed annuity. Security you can count on. Financial strength, again, you know, Athene is an A+ company. Okay, again, $235 billion in assets, right? I'm going to come down here. Now, the thing that we talked about in retirement is guarantees, right? Guarantees are good, right? Why are guarantees good? It means you can't lose anything, right? You choose the certainty of a fixed rate, right? Or fixed index annuity, and you have minimum guarantees within your annuity, meaning you can never lose money. Make sense? You also have the growth potential within this product. So if the market is up, you get to partake in part of that. If the market is down, you have the power of zero. Your account's not going to be credited anything, but it's not going to lose anything either. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, we talked about the money that you lost, right? And you know, the ability to get that back. Athene is going to offer you a premium bonus of up to 16%.
Oh, wow.
So that'll help recoup some of the losses that you already experienced, okay?
That's awesome.
Now, again, your money is not actually invested into the market, right? It's not exposed, so there is no direct downside of market risk to your money. You can't lose any money. It grows tax deferred. The annuity, on the annuity's maturity date, Cameron, you have the option to create a regular stream of income, either for a specific period of time or for the rest of your life. That's your choice, okay? And then also you have a death benefit. So if you pass away, the death benefit can then go to your loved ones as well.
Okay.
Now, the cool thing here, unlike your 401k, it is going to be probate free. So it won't be probated, but they will have to pay any income tax, you know, because it is a tax deferred account. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay, great. All right. So what I'm going to do down here is I'm going to go into the benefits. Now, we're looking at, you know, most likely a 10-year product. Okay. And again, in this case, I'm looking at the Performance Elite 10. There is, like I said, a premium bonus, right? There's a confinement waiver of withdrawal charges. So if you're ever into a nursing home, you don't have any surrender charges. So if you've ever had a CD, right, a 5 or a 10-year CD, if you pull the money out before that period is over, there's a fee that you have to pay. Does that make sense? Yeah. The same thing with an annuity. It works the same way. If you pull your money out before the 10 years is over, there's usually a small percentage in terms of the fee if you take anything out over what's called a free withdrawal. Okay, and I'm going to go to that in a second. Same thing, if you end up with a terminal illness, you don't have any withdrawal charges. And then in your case with your Performance Elite, you're going to have a 10% free withdrawal. So in terms of liquidity, right? If you ever need any of this money in retirement, you can take up to 10%. Let's just assume, Cameron, you have 300 grand. Yeah. Okay. That $300,000, that's going to be $30,000 a year that you can take out without any penalties or fees. Okay. So you have some liquidity in it as well. Now, also with the Performance Elite guys.
Ask you a question. If,
yeah, go ahead.
Let's say that I think I heard this on a podcast, maybe sure I heard it right, but let's say you don't take that out that year, but let's say the second 20%. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say next. So if you don't pull out that 10% in the first year, it's actually going to go to a 20% free withdrawal. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Also, there are no fees for your annuity. So unlike your 401k, when your broker's either making or losing you money, he's still charging you fees, and usually anywhere between 1.5% to 3%, no matter what's going on with your account. The only fee or anything that's associated with this is called a rider charge, right? And that's less than 1%. And that's actually not paid out of your 300,000 you're putting in. It's actually just taken off the top of your gains each year. Does that make sense? So you're actually never paying that fee directly. Okay. All right. the other thing I want to show you here is the whole thing about an annuity company is it's an insurance company. So what you're doing instead of investing money into an account, right, into a brokerage account, potentially losing it, what you're doing here is you're actually formulating a contract relationship with the insurance company, and it is the insurance company's job to protect your money, provide minimum guarantees, and then do the best that they can to make sure that you have the maximum returns as possible. But then in addition to that, just remember that every insurance company has to be backed by the state guarantee fund, where they have to have dollar for dollar in reserves, everything that they have in terms of liability, right? So your 300 grand is backed by actual real assets, as opposed to a bank. What does the FDIC and insurance amount go up to? Anybody know? Did you hear recently about
250,000?
Yeah, 250,000. So Cameron, if you were putting your money into a bank and they said, yeah, we'll protect your money, and then all of a sudden you're part of SV, Silicon Valley Bank or any of these others, Credit Suisse, and then all of a sudden they go collapse, the FDIC, the government, will only protect up to 250. So not only are you not getting a rate of return that outpaces inflation, so you're losing money, all of a sudden now you're also down 50 grand because they're only going to protect up to 250, right? So is your money safer with a bank or safer with an insurance company?
Insurance company.
I want you to think about something else, right? During September 11th and also during the recession, I'm sure if I paid you 20 bucks, you could name at least 3 companies that went out of business, right?
Mm.
Okay. What if I gave you $200 if you could name 1 insurance company that went out of business? You think you could do it?
No.
Why?
Because they didn't.
There's not a single insurance company that went out of business. Even AIG was too big to fail, right? Because of their traditional insurance mark. So again, you're protected from downturns. So let me show you, again, I talked to you about accessing your money when you needed it most. You got that 10% free withdrawal, and it goes up to 20% if you don't take it the first year. And then if you're either in a nursing home or you end up with a terminal illness, you have access to those monies with all those fees waived. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to show you how to run a quick illustration. And the illustrations with Athene are super easy. Let me go to my illustration page here. Let's just go here. I'm going to go to my illustration center. I'm going to click on Annuity Illustration Center. Okay. And I'm going to go to change this to Florida. I'm going to do a Performance Elite by product. So I'm going to go down here, Performance Elite Plus. I'm going to just, again, valued client. I'm going to make them, let's say I just sat down with you, Cameron, and we just did your Medicare supplement. So you just turned 65, you're retired. So 1958, let's just say you're turning 65 here in May. Okay. Boom. Oops. 5. Okay. So you're turning 65 in May. We just did your med sup, and boom, there we go. It's qualified. Why? Because it's coming from, again, it has to be like to like. So if he had money, let's say in a savings account or something like that, that wasn't tax deferred, it'd be unqualified. But since Shannon's got a old 401k he's no longer contributing to, it's going to be a 1035 exchange qualified funds. Okay, there's no joint annuitant here, so we'll leave that blank. I'm going to go over here to my policy details, and we're going to look at a 10-year period, right? Because what Cameron's going to do is, he's planning on doing some things. He wants to grow his retirement, but he's going to take Social Security, and that's good for him for his income. So he can defer this. He doesn't need the income on it. So we can go all the way out to 10 years. We're going to do 300,000. Okay. We're going to do most recent ledger type actual performance for the past 10 years. And then in terms of strategy, I can do a no fee option or no charge option. And I'm going to choose my 1 year point to point in the S&P 500. Right. And again, how you're going to determine this, guys, is one, Athene is going to coach you on which ones are working. But we have our strategies right here. Again, this is available on the website. This is your plan for performance, and it talks about all the different strategies. You have the artificial intelligence, AI-powered US equity index. You have the BNP Paribas multi-asset diversified 5, the NASDAQ, S&P 500, and the S&P 500. As a client, Cameron, I'm not going to go through all this stuff with you, right? Again, confused clients don't take action. I'm the professional, and I'm going to say the highest performing indexes right now, or indices right now, are going to be the S&P 500 1-year point to point. So what it does, it takes his contract date, and then 12 months later, his contract anniversary, and that's that 1-year point to point. And it talks about what's the performance, the gain or loss, in between those 2 points. So his contract date, Cameron, starts today, let's say, and then 12 months from now, how did that index perform? And then based on your percent of allocation, or let's go here. I'll show you. The word is escaping me. You go to your glossary. Participation rate. Based on your participation rate, this is the cool thing too about your glossary. If I go with the index that gives me a charge, right? Charges, I think 0.95% or 1.25%, something like that. I have a higher participation rate. And what that means, participation rate, is the strategy index percent change, right? So if I gained 5% in the S&P 500, it's multiplied by my participation rate. So if the strategy index percent change is 10% and the participation rate was 50%, the interest credited to my account at the end of that point to point for the year would be 5% rate of return. Now, let me go back to the illustration. Here we go.
Hey, as a quick reference, Neil, that participation rate, if you guys, if this is your first time with annuities, most of the other companies' participation rates are at like 30%, and Athene's are at like 130%. So just
it can be as high as 250%. Yeah,
right.
That's a good point. That's a great point. And I have that illustrated here somewhere. Let's see. Maybe it's not in there. I'll show you on the.
Hey Neil, does it gain anything if say the market's down? Does it just stay at 0, or is there like a base percentage?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I'll show you that, and it actually details that in the illustration. Okay, so again, I'm just going to leave this like this. I'm going to go into my policy details. Come on, where'd you go? That's the right one. So many of these windows open. We don't need that anymore. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to put 50% in the 1-year point to point, and then I'm going to do 50% in the BNP Paribas, and that totals 100%. So I have to go down here and I have to make sure that it totals into 100. Now, I don't have anything in the fixed account. A fixed account just gives you, it's instead of being an index, maybe somebody's risk tolerance is a little more or less risk or more risk adverse. I can put a certain percentage, 25, 50% in the guaranteed account. And no matter what, to answer your question, Keith, I'm going to show you what the minimum guarantee is on the illustration, regardless of putting anything in the fixed account. But let's just say somebody's like, well, I just don't feel comfortable. We can always make changes with this on 1 year or 2 years. But let's say somebody just says, look, I want a minimum guarantee no matter what. And so we can put half of it into a fixed account. We can always change it later. But for these illustration purposes, I'm going to do 50 and 50. So the 2-year point to point, again, goes over 24 months. And it shows how does that BNP Paribas perform over 24 months. And then that's the amount that's going to be credited based on participation rate, to my actual account. I'm not going to do anything for withdrawals here. If Cameron was going to be during the contract period, you know, if we're going to talk about RMDs, required minimum distributions, I'm going to illustrate that here. So in his case, because it's a 10-year, it's going to take him all the way to 74, right? Almost 75. So we're just going to click enforce required minimum distributions, and it'll go ahead and illustrate that for me. Again, required minimum distributions are RMDs. That's the government saying after 72 and a half or 72, you have to start taking money out of your qualified accounts. You can no longer let it sit and grow tax deferred. You have to start taking the minimum distributions. And you can just type in RMD calculator online if somebody's interested in that. Otherwise, it'll typically be illustrated. All right, so I'm going to click print. And it's going to go ahead and bring it up for me. And so I already have this here.
While you're pulling that up too, a pro move, if you're going to be writing a lot of annuities, is the 2-year strategies will always outperform the 1-year strategies.
Yep.
Just because they're investing in option contracts. Not to get too confusing, but if you want the best for your client, do half and half in a 1-year strategy and the other half in a 2-year strategy. And then the next year when you go see them, change that 1 year to a 2-year strategy. That way they're getting an interest every single year. And then by the second year, if this makes sense, okay, they're both in 2-year strategies, but they started on different years. So now they're taking advantage of both making an income every year, but maximizing out the interest.
Absolutely. And the cool thing is that's a great point, Tristan. Athene will let you know when your clients are eligible. You're going to get an alert that says there's an interest crediting strategy option change available. And then there's going to be a window for you to be able to perform that. And you can always call Athene and say, hey, what are your recommendations here? And it's just a quick change that the client has to sign. And, you know, that's definitely a great tip. Good job, Tristan. Absolutely. All right. So what I'm going to show you here, Cameron, is, again, this is going to be Athene's Performance Elite Plus 10 annuity, right? It's going to give you guarantees, growth potential if the market goes up, protection if the market goes down, right? You're not going to lose any money. Remember, I talked about a premium bonus to help you recover from some of the losses. It's going to give you that. It's going to grow tax deferred. It gives you the option for income for the rest of your life, so you can never outlive your income. And then also a death benefit. If you ever pass away, the money goes to your family. Okay. So what I want to show you here is I'm going to show you, think of this. This shows a 0%. So to answer your question, Keith, this is what's going on here. Assume, Cameron, the market never does anything for the rest of our lives, right? So for the next 10 years, the market doesn't do anything. This is a view of your annuity's guaranteed contract values, right? So again, you signed a contract with Annuity or with Athene, so we have to commit to you based on this contract. Right here is your 16% bonus. So right off the top, you just got a $48,000 bonus. Now, that's not your bonus to just grab and walk away, right? That bonus goes into your accumulation value, and you're now earning bonus on 348,000 versus 300,000. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So again, what's happening here, if you died tomorrow, let's say you purchased this annuity, again, if you're qualified, we have to submit everything to the carrier and they have to see if you're qualified for this annuity. But if you're qualified and they accept you and you pass away a day later, your family's going to get $344,000 tax-free and probate-free, right? So remember, we couldn't qualify you for that life insurance earlier because of the diabetes and, you know, the diverticulitis and the, you know, gonorrhea facipilate and all that kind of stuff. Guess what? Now you have life insurance. Okay. So that's that. But then what you're going to see is your cash surrender value is going to be a little bit less than what you put in. Why? That's going to be those surrender charges. But remember, your death benefit's going to continue to be more than what you put in. Now, again, you're not earning any money on this because the market is in turmoil, isn't not returning anything. What ends up happening is after that initial 10-year period, now you're going to go ahead and have dollar for dollar. As your account continues to grow, you're going to have dollar for dollar in there in terms of your account value. Okay, and then obviously after 72.5, you've got your required minimum distributions. That's what this is here, right? So this is going to show $12,000 a year that the government's making you take out of your account. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, again, this has never happened, not to say that it won't happen, but we don't spend much time on this because, again, we just have to put that there for illustration purposes. The market is likely to do this. So this is going to show you what your account would actually do based on the actual most recent 10 years. And as you can see here, you've got your premium bonus of 48,000. You have no withdrawals in the first 10 years or all the way up to 72. And then what's happening is look at your account value, right? So you've got your death benefit and your cash surrender value. This is just illustrating if you were to pull all of your money out, this is just minus your fees, right? Your surrender fees, but look how that account continues to grow. So by the time you're 72, you've got $603,000 that you could just pull out right then and there, right? And your account value, your accumulation value that you're earning interest on is $659,000, right? And if you pass away, your family gets $659,000, okay? So by the time you're 85, you've got over $1 million in there. And this is also illustrating the minimum withdrawals every year of $12,000 as you're taking it out each year. Make sense? Okay.
Right. How much did it?
So again, no matter what the market does,
To this?
go ahead.
Was there a lump sum put into this or a premium? What
Yeah,
was
you're 300 grand.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, you're 300 grand, and then you got a $48,000 bonus on top of that. The
So,
next thing
Neil,
it's going to show you. Go ahead, Dick. You had a question?
Can you go back to the first screen where he deposited the 300,000 and there was a $48,000 bonus?
Yep.
I think I was looking at a different one because it said 344,000. It didn't say 348.
Yeah, that's going to be with the minimum, right? So again, there's a surrender charge there.
I'm talking about the death benefit. There's still a surrender charge.
Yeah, so there's that little bit of a fee that's going to be taken off the top there.
Okay, $4,000.
Yeah, just about. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. But again, they got that 16% bonus. They got 44 grand for nothing, right? That goes to their family. Okay. So again, it's going to illustrate the most recent 10-year period. So again, based on the most recent 10 years, this is what your annuity would have done. And then also based on the historical average of the stock market, this is what your annuity would likely have done as well. What we're looking at here, guys, is a historical rate of return of, let's see. That's the most recent 10 years. I don't know why they don't have the rate there. It's about 5% rate of return for the most recent 10 years. And then if you look here on the annual assumed interest rate for the historical average is about 8.82%. Okay. And again, it's not the 12% that you might get in some years when the market is crushing it, but it's also not the negative percent. You're not losing any money as well. Okay. So any questions on any of this? No. All right. And that's really about it, guys. In terms of the illustration, again, it just talks about, here's a more tabular view of those numbers. Most recent 10, highest and lowest based over those 10 years. And then from there, so Cameron, as you can see, when it comes to protecting your retirement, you get to partake in the market when it goes up, but you get to sit pretty and happy and safe whenever the market goes down. How does that make you feel?
Secure.
Okay, good stuff. So all we need to do now, the first step in the process is we need to complete your application, and then we're going to send it over to be reviewed for suitability. All right, not everybody can qualify for this. We need to make sure that it's the right one for you. It has to pass state suitability, and then the company has to review it as well. So we're going to plug everything in. Okay, what I'm going to need is your driver's license, and then the information for the 401k company. We're going to plug all that in. If it's approved, Athene is going to do what's called a 1035 exchange, and they're going to send a wire message over to Mass Mutual or whoever you have your account with, and they're going to request that that money be transferred directly over into your new IRA. Does that make sense? So that way it can be protected. Okay. And then guys, I want you to write this down, please. Whenever you're doing this, make sure that you also get a wet signature on the 1035 exchange. More often than not, a electronic signature on a 1035 exchange will suffice, but I always print out and get and you can use DocuSign for this too, is get a wet signature on a 1035 exchange form and a photocopy of the front and back of their driver's license, right? Because in some instances, the carriers will delay and say, yeah, sorry, we're not going to transfer the money until we get a wet signature. And then what I always do as well is I get the contact information while the client is there, and I go ahead and I call the losing carrier, right? So maybe it's Bank of America or whoever, and I ask them specifically what their requirements are for a 1035 exchange. So that way I know ahead of time if they require a wet signature. Sometimes they require what's called a medallion stamp. So they have to get a notary to medallion stamp the 1035 exchange. And then they may have internal forms that are necessary as well. So I make sure to do all of that in advance. So that way it's not, 1 or 2 months down the road and we're still trying to get the money transferred. Because guys, all the time that money is sitting in their 401k or their brokerage account, it's subject to loss, right? And we want to get that money and put it in a protected vehicle as quickly as possible. So if you can do these things in advance, you're going to help your client and help yourself as well. Okay. So that's kind of just the basic gist. Does anybody have any questions?
I was just going to make a comment that personality quiz is really powerful because it brings home why they want to protect their money, opposed to just for the sake of protecting it. I want to travel. I want to be able to put away for my grandchildren's college fund. So it makes it personal.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Anything else? Okay.
Yeah, here's another little cheat code too when it comes to annuities. Transfer the money right away. If you have you talk to the SRS team about the situation, but I like to transfer the money immediately.
Yep.
If you know that they're going to get approved, you just can't take you have to leave them with 30% of their liquid money. And if that's the case, and you know that you can do that, then transfer the money immediately. Once they have money, they will expedite the underwriting as well. So then you can get, these issued in a week and a half, 2 weeks, rather than, 2-3 months.
Yep. Yeah. So, and you're going to complete the application in Firelight, which is basically kind of like a sandbox. And again, when the SRS team is involved, they're going to send you an illustration along with the link for Firelight. So when you get registered, you can actually go to the SRS site, and the Firelight link is in here somewhere. Might be an app review. But anyway, you're going to complete the app through Firelight, and then it's going to go to the SRS team, and usually Lauren Jackson will review it, and she'll scrub it before it goes to Athene. So that way, when Athene gets it, it's crisp, it's clean, it's ready to go. And as Tristan said, one of the biggest hangups is the financial liquidity or the suitability component of, you have to make sure they're not eating up more than 70% of their financial liquidity. And it's a simple form to complete, but cognitively you have to just be aware that, like Tristan said, you're leaving 30% liquidity. So that way you're not putting them in a situation where all of their liquid assets are tied up in a surrender charge account. All right. And then once it's scrubbed and Athene gets it, it's usually 100% clean. And then that's where you want to do your homework on that back end or on the front end to make sure to meet the requirements of the losing carrier. So that way you don't have to, be surprised by all this stuff later on to try and get that money transferred. The other thing is these losing carriers will try to drag their feet. They won't answer calls. They won't return calls. They're going to do everything they can to keep that money as long as they can, because that's just extra money in their pocket. And depending on the time of the year, it might be the time of year where they charge that 1% or 3% fee. So you want to condition your client and say, listen, As soon as we get this completed, I want you to call the carrier and just say, hey, I'm moving my money to another IRA. This is my decision. Please respect my wishes and go ahead and transfer my money immediately. Because what they're going to do is they're going to have a broker say, oh, no, you don't want to do that. Annuities are so expensive. They're going to try all this stupid canned stuff. One of the things that you can show them is it's a website, write this down. It's called FIAbenefits.com. Oh, did I spell it wrong? There you go, FIAbenefits.com. And it's a video that you can show them. And it goes over the different benefits of a fixed index annuity, the power of indexing. You can just click on here. So when I'm with my clients, I show them this, right? In addition to that PDF form with the, the up and down roller coaster, I show them they're quick, like 15-second videos, shows the power of indexing. It's got Tom Hegna on here, the safety and security. It talks about, mortality credits and why annuities are so safe. Talks about tax deferred growth, eliminating fees, right? So there's this thing called a 12B1 fee, and then the different fees for equity mutual funds and things like that. So if somebody has a broker or someone else that's trying to compete against you, make sure to show them this, and it'll help overcome that, eliminating market risk, and then obviously guaranteed lifetime income and avoiding probate. So make sure to write that down, and that's something I also show my clients. Okay. And then on the website, when you do your training, this is what the Performance Elite Plus specific product training looks like, right? So it goes over everything relative to the Performance Elite product. The minimum contribution there is $10,000, right? Maximum premium, in this case, going to be $1 million, or you can do, if you need to do more than that, you just got to talk to Athene. And then it talks about all the different contract features, the liquidity features, the Performance Elite Plus hypothetical example, right? So you can show your client this as well with your free withdrawal. If you notice there, you got that 20% in second year if you didn't take it out in the first year, right? And it's got all of the different features and benefits here as far as crediting strategy and all this stuff for training. Talks about all your different indexing credits, right? So one of the main reasons why you would go with one of those indexing strategies that has the fee is because typically there's no cap, right? So you can have unlimited interest crediting. When there is a fee, there's usually a cap there. So, but I think that's about it. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap up? Sorry to take so long, but this will be recorded and sent out to you guys. Anybody have any questions or comments? I'm sorry?
I just said great stuff, Neil.
Oh, thank you, guys. Annuities they're so easy. Honestly, they're so easy. You just have to have the conversation. Okay. Anyone else? All right, let's wrap up for another 20 or 30 seconds here, and we'll get you all back to your day. Let me just share this old bad boy real quick. And we'll be done.
For family members.
Neil, we do have a question. I don't know if now's the right time on Josh's
Yeah,
stuff.
please go ahead.
Well, I have two questions for you. One is I sold a policy through Aetna.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kyle. We'll come back to that in just 2 seconds.
Okay, sorry.
No worries. So real quick, guys, as we wrap up here, we're just going to share the leaderboard and then we'll open it up to questions. So congratulations to our top 10 issue paid through the first 2 weeks of April. At number 10, we've got Jeff Sandwick at 3692. Let me stop the recording real quick.